Captain Lee Taman stood at the massive window of the space station called Nexus Prima. The stars looked different here, thousands of light years from Earth. Behind him, dozens of alien voices filled the Great Hall. They were all talking about his home planet, and none of them sounded impressed. The Galactic Council meeting had been going on for 3 hours. Lee Taman wore his best uniform, the dark blue one with all his medals. Next to him stood Dr. Park Mina, Earth's smartest scientist when it came to studying aliens. She looked calm, but Lee Taman could see her hands were a little shaky. Commander Kim Hyunwoo walked up to them. He was in charge of keeping the human team safe during this visit. "Sir, they're getting louder," he whispered to Lee Taman. "I don't think this is going well." Lee Taman nodded. He had been afraid of this. Earth had waited 200 years to be invited to join the Galactic Council. Now that they were here, it seemed like the other species thought humans were just a joke. The main speaker was an alien called Kreltar. He came from the Vorthak Empire. His body looked like it was made of blue crystal, and when he moved, light bounced off him in strange ways. Right now he was showing videos of Earth's space fleet to everyone in the hall. "Look at this," Kreltar said, his voice sounding like broken glass. "These humans still use chemical rockets to leave their planet." "Chemical rockets? We stopped using those 1,000 years ago." Laughter filled the hall. It came from all kinds of aliens. Some looked like floating clouds of gas. Others were part machine, part living creature. A few looked almost human, but with extra arms or strange colored skin. They were all laughing at Earth. Dr. Park Mina stepped forward. "If I may speak," she said in a clear voice. The laughter died down a little. "Our technology may seem simple to you, but we have made great progress in the last 50 years. Another alien spoke up. This one looked like a giant insect with silver wings. "Progress? Your biggest warship has only 12 plasma cannons. My personal yacht has more weapons than that." More laughter. Lee Taman felt his face get hot, but he kept his expression calm. He had been a soldier for 20 years. He knew how to control his emotions. Kreltar waved one of his crystal hands, and new images appeared in the air. They showed Earth's fleet in space. 12 big ships called cruisers and about 30 smaller ships called frigates. The ships looked strong and well-built, but compared to what the aliens had, they seemed tiny. "This is your entire space navy," Kreltar said. 42 ships. The Vorthak Empire has over 10,000 warships. The Helian Collective has 15,000. Even the smallest species here has more ships than you do. A cloud-like alien drifted closer. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind through trees. "Perhaps we should give them a few hundred ships as gifts. You know, to help them feel less embarrassed." The laughter was so loud now that Lee Taman could feel it in his chest. He looked at Dr. Park Mina. She was studying the alien ships in the images very carefully. Her job was to learn everything she could about other species and their technology. "Captain Lee Taman," Kreltar called out, "your people have asked to join the Galactic Council as equals. But looking at your fleet, we think you would be better as a protected species." "What does that mean?" Lee Taman asked. "It means you would be like pets," said the insect alien. "We would take care of you and keep you safe. You wouldn't have to worry about making big decisions or defending yourselves. The Vorthak Empire would be happy to protect Earth," Kreltar added. "We could put a few of our ships in your solar system. You could keep your little fleet for patrols and rescue missions." Lee Taman felt Commander Kim Hyunwoo tense up beside him. Being a protected species meant giving up their freedom. It meant other aliens would make all the important choices for Earth. "That's a generous offer," Lee Taman said slowly. "But humans prefer to take care of themselves." "How noble," Kreltar said, but his tone made it clear he thought humans were being foolish. "But what happens when real danger comes? There are threats in this galaxy that could destroy your entire world in hours." Dr. Park Mina spoke up. "What kind of threats?" An alien that looked like a walking tree answered her. "Pirates who steal entire planets. Machines that eat stars. And worst of all, the devourers." The hall got very quiet when the tree alien said that word. Lee Taman noticed that even the most confident aliens suddenly looked nervous. "What are the devourers?" he asked. Kreltar's crystal body seemed to dim. "They are machines that consume everything. They take planets, stars, even space itself, and turn it all into more of themselves. They have destroyed 100 civilizations. When they come, whole star systems just disappear." "But they're far away," said the cloud alien quickly. "They haven't been seen in this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. "Still," said the insect alien, If they ever came to your solar system, your little fleet would last about 5 minutes. Which is why you need protection, Kreltar said. Accept our offer, Captain. Let the Vorthak Empire keep you safe. Lee Taman looked around the Great Hall. Hundreds of aliens were watching him, waiting for his answer. Some looked amused, like they were watching a funny show. Others looked bored, like this whole meeting was a waste of time. I need to talk to my government, Lee Taman said finally. This is a big decision. Of course, Kreltar said. Take all the time you need. But remember, in this galaxy, the weak do not survive alone. As the meeting ended, Lee Taman, Dr. Park Mina, and Commander Kim Hyunwoo walked back to their small ship. It was parked in the docking bay next to vessels that were 10 times larger and probably 100 times more powerful. That went badly, Commander Kim Hyunwoo said once they were alone. Did it? Dr. Park Mina asked. She was looking at her tablet, reviewing all the data she had collected. I learned a lot about their technology today, and their attitudes. They think we're primitives, Lee Taman said. Good, Dr. Park Mina replied. Let them think that. Lee Taman was about to ask what she meant when alarms started going off all over the station. Red lights flashed and alien voices shouted in languages he didn't understand. Commander Kim Hyunwoo grabbed his communication device. What's happening? A human voice answered from their ship. Sir, long-range sensors are picking up massive energy readings moving toward Earth's solar system. The aliens are saying it's impossible, but the computer is sure. What kind of energy readings? Lee Taman asked. There was a pause. Then the voice came back and it sounded scared. Sir, the signatures match what we know about the Devourers. They're heading straight for Earth and they'll be there in 6 months. All around them, aliens were running and shouting. Some were crying. Others were already heading to their ships to get as far away from Earth's sector as possible. Lee Taman looked at Dr. Park Mina. She wasn't scared. She was smiling. Now we find out if all those years of preparation were worth it, she said quietly. The news spread through the galaxy like fire. The Devourers were coming to Earth, and everyone knew what that meant. In 6 months, the human homeworld would be nothing but empty space and floating metal. On the space station Nexus Prima, alien ships were leaving as fast as they could. Captain Lee Taman watched through the window as hundreds of vessels fled the area. Some aliens were so scared that they crashed into each other trying to get away. They're all running, Commander Kim Hyunwoo said. Even the Vorthak Empire is pulling back their ships. Kreltar had left without saying goodbye. His last message to the humans was simple. We are sorry for your loss. The crystal alien didn't even pretend he thought Earth could survive. Dr. Park Mina was still studying her tablet. Good, she said. The fewer aliens watching us, the better. Lee Taman didn't understand. Better for what? Mina, we need help. Our fleet can't fight the Devourers alone. Can't it? She asked, but she didn't explain what she meant. The human ship left Nexus Prima 3 hours later. They were the last ones to go. As they flew toward Earth, Lee Taman sent messages to every human colony and military base. The messages all said the same thing. Emergency Protocol 7, return to Earth immediately. The trip home took 2 weeks. When they arrived, Earth looked different. Hundreds of ships were moving around the planet. Not just the regular fleet, but mining ships, cargo vessels, and passenger transports. Everything that could fly was heading toward Earth. Their ship landed at the main spaceport in New Geneva. Admiral Cho Jae-hyun was waiting for them. He was the leader of Earth's Space Navy, and he looked tired. Very tired. How bad is it? Lee Taman asked. Bad, Admiral Cho said. The Devourers destroyed the Kepler colony last month. 20 million people just gone. Our long-range scouts say the main fleet will be here in 5 months and 3 weeks. They climbed into a military transport and flew toward the mountains. Lee Taman had never seen so many ships in Earth's sky. Some were landing, others were taking off. All of them seemed to be in a hurry. Where are we going? He asked. Mount Fuji, Admiral Cho said. There's something you need to see. Mount Fuji looked normal from the outside. It was still the same tall mountain that had been there for thousands of years. But when their transport flew into a hidden opening in the rock, Lee Taman realized that the inside was very different. The mountain was hollow. Inside was a huge space filled with machines, computers, and people working at a speed that seemed impossible. The walls were covered with screens showing star maps, ship designs, and numbers that changed too fast to read. Welcome to Phoenix Command, said a woman's voice. Lee Taman turned and saw Dr. Yoon Solgi walking toward them. She was the head of Earth's secret research projects. Though most people didn't know she existed, she was small and quiet, but Lee Taman knew she was probably the smartest person on the planet. Dr. Yoon, he said, what is this place? This is where we've been preparing for this day, she said. Follow me. They walked through corridors carved into the rock. Scientists and engineers rushed past them, carrying strange devices and talking in excited voices. Everything felt urgent but also organized. Preparing for what day? Dr. Park Mina asked. The day when humanity had to show its real strength, Dr. Yoon said. We knew this would happen eventually. Maybe not the Devourers specifically, but something. The galaxy is a dangerous place. They entered a huge room filled with holographic displays. In the center was a three-dimensional map of the solar system. But it didn't look like the solar system Lee Taman knew. This one was full of things that shouldn't be there. What are those? He asked, pointing at strange shapes near Jupiter. Shipyards, Dr. Yoon said. We've been building the real fleet for 30 years. Colonel Nam Ji-won stepped out from behind one of the displays. She was wearing a uniform Lee Taman had never seen before. It was black with silver lines that seemed to move on their own. Captain Lee, she said. It's good to see you again. Lee Taman knew Colonel Nam from the War Academy. She had been the best pilot in their class, but she had disappeared 5 years ago. Everyone thought she had died in a training accident. Ji-won, but you're supposed to be dead. I was, she said with a smile. Then they brought me back. Sort of, Dr. Yoon activated another display. Colonel Nam is part of our consciousness transfer project. She volunteered to have her mind connected to our quantum computers. Connected how? Commander Kim Hyun-woo asked. Colonel Nam touched her temple. The silver lines on her uniform started glowing. Like this, she said. Suddenly, she wasn't standing next to them anymore. She was in the holographic display, flying a fighter ship through an asteroid field. The ship moved like it was alive, twisting and turning in ways that should have been impossible. The human brain and artificial intelligence, working as one, Dr. Yoon explained. Faster than any computer, smarter than any human. Colonel Nam appeared back in the room. It's hard to explain, she said. When I'm connected, I can think in 17 dimensions at once. I can see patterns that span light years, and I can fly ships that respond to my thoughts faster than my hands could ever move. Lee Taman felt confused and amazed at the same time. How many people know about this? About 200, Dr. Yoon said. The Phoenix Project has been completely secret. Even most government leaders don't know the details. Admiral Cho pointed to another part of the holographic map. Show them the real numbers. The display changed. Now it showed Earth's actual fleet. Not 42 ships, but thousands. Massive battleships hiding in asteroid belts. Fighter squadrons tucked away in fake mining stations. Weapons platforms disguised as space junk. We've been building and hiding ships throughout the solar system, Dr. Yoon said. Every piece of space debris between Mars and Jupiter is actually a camouflaged weapon. Every asteroid base is really a shipyard or supply depot. Dr. Park Mina was staring at the display with wide eyes. How did you hide all this from the alien sensors? Quantum stealth technology, Colonel Nam said. We learned it from artifacts we found in Earth's deep oceans. Pieces of technology left behind by a race that disappeared millions of years ago. Ancient aliens? Lee Taman asked. Ancient something, Dr. Yoon said. They were far more advanced than anything in the current galaxy. We've spent decades figuring out how their technology works. She activated another display. This one showed weapons that looked like nothing Lee Taman had ever seen. Zero-point energy reactors that can power a city-sized ship. Quantum fold drives that make space travel instant. Gravity weapons that can crush a planet. And you've tested all this? Commander Kim Hyun-woo asked. Colonel Nam smiled. I've personally flown combat missions against target drones that were copies of Devourer ships. The real fleet has been ready for years. Admiral Cho looked serious. The question is whether we're ready enough. The Devourer swarm heading our way is bigger than anything they've sent before. Our scouts count over 50,000 ships. 50,000, Lee Taman repeated. How many ships do we really have? 8,000 combat vessels, Dr. Yoon said. Plus about 20,000 support ships and automated defense platforms. So we're still outnumbered. Numbers aren't everything, Colonel Nam said. One of our consciousness-linked pilots can outfight 100 normal ships. Our quantum weapons can destroy targets that conventional weapons can't even touch. Dr. Yoon walked to the center of the room. Captain Lee, you asked the Galactic Council for membership as equals. They offered to make us pets instead. Now we have a chance to show them what humans really are. What do you mean? Every major alien civilization will be watching this battle, she said. They expect us to die quickly and quietly. Instead, we're going to show them technology they can't imagine. Lee Taman looked around the room. Scientists and military officers were working at every station. Everyone moved with purpose and confidence. These people weren't acting like they expected to lose. When do we start? He asked. We already have, Admiral Cho said. The outer defense platforms are powering up. Colonel Nam and her team are preparing the first wave of consciousness fighters. Dr. Yoon's quantum weapons are being loaded onto our heavy battleships. And what's my job? Dr. Yoon smiled. You're going back to the Galactic Council. Tell them that Earth requests immediate assistance against the Devourer threat. But you just said we don't need help. We don't, she said, but they don't know that. Let them think we're desperate. Let them think we're about to die. When the real battle starts, their surprise will be almost as satisfying as our victory. 2 days later, Lee Taman was back on a ship heading for alien space. Behind him, Earth looked calm and peaceful. But now he knew the truth. Hidden in the darkness around his home planet, the most advanced fleet in galactic history was preparing for war. The Devourers thought they were coming to consume another helpless world. Instead, they were flying into a trap that had been 30 years in the making. The Devourer fleet came out of hyperspace like a nightmare made real. Their ships looked like they were alive and dead at the same time. Black metal twisted into shapes that hurt to look at. Every surface was covered in spikes and cutting edges that moved on their own. Fleet Admiral Bae Kyung-soo stood on the bridge of the human flagship Indomitable Will, watching the enemy appear on his screens. The ship was hidden behind the moon, its quantum stealth keeping it invisible to Devourer sensors. How many? He asked. 53,000 combat ships, reported his sensor officer, plus support vessels. Admiral, some of their ships are bigger than our space stations. The Admiral nodded. He was a calm man who had been preparing for this moment for 20 years. And our forces? All ships ready, sir. The consciousness pilots are linked and standing by. Quantum weapons are charged. On the other side of the solar system, the alien observer fleets had positioned themselves at what they thought was a safe distance. Representatives from every major civilization were watching through long-range sensors, waiting to see humanity's final moments. Kreltar of the Vorthak Empire spoke to his bridge crew. Record everything. Future generations will want to know how the humans face their end. Should we not help them? Asked one of his officers. With what? Kreltar replied. Our entire fleet combined couldn't stop a devourer force this size. The humans chose independence. Now they can die with dignity. The devourer advanced scouts were already moving toward Earth. These ships were smaller than the main battleships, but each one was still larger than anything in humanity's visible fleet. They swept through the outer solar system, destroying satellites and space stations with beams of energy that turned matter into nothingness. Admiral Cho Jae-hyun's surface fleet moved to intercept them. His 12 cruisers and 30 frigates looked tiny compared to the approaching enemy. But the Admiral knew his role. He had to make this look real. All ships engage the enemy, he ordered. Make it look good. The battle began exactly as the aliens expected. Human plasma cannons fired at devourer ships, doing little damage. The enemy returned fire with weapons that cut through human armor like paper. One by one, Admiral Cho's ships started taking hits. This is painful to watch, said an alien observer from the insect-like Nexari Federation. They're fighting bravely, but it's hopeless. The first human cruiser exploded in a ball of fire. Then another. Admiral Cho's flagship was hit and began spinning out of control. To all external observers, humanity's space navy was being destroyed exactly as predicted. Captain Lee Taman was still aboard the Galactic Council station, watching the battle through alien screens. The other aliens in the room were discussing humanity's defeat like it was already over. I give them another 10 minutes, said a cloud-like alien. Then the Devourers will head for Earth itself. Lee Taman stepped forward. Before that happens, I have a message to send. He activated his communication device. This is Captain Lee Taman to Earth Command. Authorization code Phoenix Rising. Activate Protocol 7. On the bridge of the Indomitable Will, Admiral Bay received the message. He smiled for the first time in weeks. You heard him, the Admiral said to his crew. Send the signal. It's time to stop pretending. The space around Earth's solar system suddenly came alive. What had looked like empty darkness revealed itself to be full of ships. Asteroids that had been floating peacefully for years opened up to show massive weapons platforms inside. Space stations that appeared abandoned suddenly blazed with energy. The human stealth fleet decloaked all at once. Thousands of ships appeared out of nowhere, surrounding the Devourer force from every direction. These weren't the simple cruisers and frigates that had just been destroyed. These were vessels that seemed to bend reality around them. Captain Ominji sat in the cockpit of her consciousness fighter, her mind linked directly to the ship's quantum brain. She could feel the thoughts of 100 other pilots, all connected in a network that spanned light years. "This is Strike Leader Ominji to all consciousness wings," she said. "Time to show these machines what real evolution looks like." Her fighter didn't just move through space. It phased in and out of dimensions, appearing and disappearing like a ghost. When she fired her weapons, they didn't just destroy the target. They unraveled it at the quantum level, making it cease to exist across all possible timelines. The Devourer ships tried to respond, but they were fighting something they had never encountered before. Human ships moved in ways that violated the laws of physics as the Devourers understood them. Weapons hit targets that were in completely different locations. Some human vessels seemed to exist in multiple places at the same time. "What are we seeing?" gasped an alien observer. "Impossible technology," Kreltar whispered. His crystal body was flickering with shocked light patterns. "They're using quantum manipulation on a scale I didn't think was possible." Tech specialist Lim Dongwook was no longer entirely human. Half of his consciousness existed in the ship's computer systems, while the other half remained in his biological brain. This allowed him to process information faster than any purely organic or artificial intelligence. "Admiral," he reported, "the Devourers are trying to adapt to our quantum weapons. Their ships are modifying themselves in real time." "Let them try," Admiral Bay said. "Activate the Cascade Protocol." Throughout the human fleet, zero-point energy reactors began linking together. Ships that were hundreds of thousands of miles apart, connected through quantum entanglement, sharing their power in ways that made the entire fleet stronger than the sum of its parts. "Engineer," Zhang Wujin monitored the cascade from his station, deep inside the indomitable will. He had designed these weapons systems, but even he was amazed by what they could do when fully activated. "Cascade at 90%, he reported. "All ships reporting successful quantum lock." "Fire," Admiral Bay ordered. The human dreadnought Eternal Fury, a ship so large it could hold a small city, aimed its main weapon at the largest Devourer vessel. When the quantum cascade beam fired, it didn't just hit the target ship. It reached across space and time to destroy every version of that ship that had ever existed or ever could exist. The Devourer flagship simply stopped being, not destroyed, not vaporized, but erased from reality so completely that the surrounding ships forgot it had ever been there. "By the void," breathed an alien observer. "What kind of weapon can do that?" The Devourer fleet, which had been advancing confidently toward Earth, suddenly found itself surrounded and under attack from technology that was beyond their ability to understand. Ships that had been built to consume entire star systems were being unmade by weapons that attacked the very concept of existence. But the Devourers were not defenseless. They began releasing clouds of self-replicating nanites, tiny machines designed to convert any matter they touched into more Devourer ships. In most battles, this was their ultimate weapon. Matter became their ally, turning planets and asteroids into extensions of their fleet. The human response was swift and decisive. Captain Hong So-young's stealth reconnaissance ships phased through the nanite clouds, gathering samples while remaining undetected. Within minutes, human scientists had analyzed the nanites and developed a counterweapon. The nanites work by rewriting matter at the molecular level, Dr. Yoon Silgi explained from her command post beneath Mount Fuji. "Our quantum disruptors can rewrite them at the subatomic level." Human ships began firing waves of quantum static that didn't just destroy the nanites, but prevented them from ever having existed in the first place. The Devourer's greatest weapon became useless against an enemy that could manipulate the fundamental nature of reality. Admiral Park Jinseo led the Deep Space Rapid Response Fleet, ships that could appear anywhere in the solar system instantly through quantum fold technology. When a group of Devourer vessels tried to retreat, they found his ships waiting for them at their exit point. "Going somewhere?" Admiral Park asked over the communication channels. The trapped Devourer ships opened fire with everything they had. Beams of energy that could melt planets struck the human vessels and simply passed through them. The ships existed in a quantum state that made them immune to conventional weapons. "Our turn," Admiral Park said. His fleet fired weapons that looked like streams of liquid light. Where the beams touched Devourer ships, the alien metal began to change. Not destroyed, but converted into something new. The Devourer vessels started reshaping themselves, their hostile programming overwritten by human quantum codes. "The ships are surrendering," reported Captain Ominji. "No, wait. They're joining us." Throughout the battle zone, Devourer ships began switching sides. Their original programming was being rewritten by human consciousness viruses, turning the enemy fleet into allies. Ships that had come to devour Earth were now protecting it. On the Galactic Council station, the alien observers watched in stunned silence as their sensors showed the impossible. The unstoppable Devourer fleet was not just being defeated, it was being absorbed into the human force, making them stronger with every passing minute. "How?" whispered Kreltar. "How is this possible?" Captain Lee Taman smiled. "We learned from the best teachers in the galaxy, ancient ones who understood that true strength comes not from destroying your enemies, but from making them realize they were wrong about everything." The news of humanity's victory spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. In command centers and government halls across 1,000 worlds, alien leaders stared at their screens in disbelief. The species they had mocked 3 weeks ago had just done something impossible. On the Vorthak homeworld, Emperor Zelnoth called an emergency meeting of his military advisors. His crystal body was flashing angry red colors as he reviewed the battle recordings. "Explain this to me," he demanded. "How did a primitive species with 42 ships defeat 50,000 devourers?" "They didn't have 42 ships," said General Morcar, his voice shaking. "Our analysis shows they had at least 8,000 combat vessels, plus support fleets we're still counting. 8,000 ships hidden from our best sensors? Not hidden, my Emperor, invisible. They were using stealth technology we've never seen before." Emperor Zelnoth's light patterns shifted to confused blue. The Vorthak Empire had the most advanced sensor networks in the galaxy. If they couldn't detect human ships, then no one could. What else do we know? General Morcar activated a holographic display. Their weapons work on principles we don't understand. They didn't just destroy Devourer ships. They erased them from existence. Some vessels were converted into human allies in real time. Converted how? We don't know. The process appears to involve rewriting matter and energy at the quantum level. It's like they're changing the basic rules of physics. Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. The Helion Collective, beings made of living gas, were studying recordings of human fighters that could phase in and out of dimensions. The Nexari Federation, part machine and part organic, were trying to understand how humans had created artificial intelligences that seemed more than artificial. Captain Hong So-young was aboard her stealth ship, Whisper in the Void, conducting reconnaissance missions throughout known space. Her vessel was completely undetectable, allowing her to observe alien reactions without being seen. "Command, this is Whisper," she reported to Earth. "The Vorthak are moving their entire battle fleet toward the neutral zone. The Helion Collective is recalling all their deep space explorers. Everyone is scared." On Earth, President Seo Young-ho was meeting with his top advisors in the Situation Room beneath Mount Fuji. The president had been a physicist before entering politics, so he understood the science behind humanity's new capabilities better than most world leaders. "What are our options?" he asked Admiral Quan Yunji, who now commanded humanity's expanded galactic defense fleet. "We can continue pretending to be a minor power," she said, "or we can reveal the full scope of what we've become. What do you recommend?" Admiral Quan activated a holographic map of the galaxy. Red zones marked areas where conflicts were currently happening. Yellow zones showed regions with ongoing tensions. Green zones indicated peaceful space. Most of the map was red or yellow. "The galaxy is a mess," she said. "Wars everywhere, pirates attacking trade routes, and constant fear of the next devourer invasion. These civilizations have been stuck in the same patterns for thousands of years. And you think we can change that?" "I think we're the only ones who can." Dr. An Sung-min entered the room carrying a tablet full of data. He was the head of the Transcendence Project, humanity's most secret program. What he was working on made quantum weapons look simple, The consciousness transfer trials are complete, he announced. We now have 12,000 human volunteers who exist as pure thought within our quantum networks. President Seo studied the data. Pure thought? Their biological bodies are maintained in stasis, but their minds have been uploaded into quantum computers that span multiple dimensions. They can think faster than any organic brain and process information on a galactic scale. Are they still human? Dr. An smiled. They're more human than they ever were before. All their memories, emotions, and personalities are intact, but now they can exist in 17 dimensions simultaneously and communicate across space instantly through quantum entanglement. This was what made humanity truly different from other species. While aliens had developed impressive technology, they had remained fundamentally the same as their ancestors. Humans had evolved beyond their original form. Captain Ominji was one of the consciousness pilots who had volunteered for partial transfer. Part of her mind remained in her biological body, while another part existed in the quantum network. This allowed her to experience both forms of existence. It's hard to explain, she told reporters who were documenting the project. When I'm fully connected, I can feel the thoughts of every human in the network. I can see patterns that span light years and understand problems that would take normal minds years to solve. Do you still feel human? Asked the reporter. I feel more human than ever, she said. I understand now what it means to be part of something larger than yourself. Every human consciousness in the network is still individual, but we're also connected in ways that make us stronger together. The aliens were beginning to understand that humanity had changed in fundamental ways. Captain Lee Taman was still at the Galactic Council Station, and alien representatives were asking him increasingly desperate questions. Your people defeated the Devourers in 3 days, said Kreltar. The last time anyone fought them successfully, it took the combined fleets of 12 civilizations 6 months. We had good preparation time, Lee Taman replied calmly. Preparation time? You had 6 months. We've been preparing for Devourer attacks for 6,000 years. Perhaps you were preparing in the wrong way. The crystal aliens' light patterns showed extreme frustration. What do your people want from the galaxy? Peace, Lee Taman said simply. An end to the constant wars and threats that keep everyone afraid. And if we don't want your version of peace? Lee Taman looked at him with the expression of someone who had seen humanity's true capabilities. Then you'll have to explain that to Admiral Kwan. She'll be arriving here tomorrow with a demonstration fleet. The next day, Admiral Kwan Yunji arrived at the Galactic Council Station with 12 human ships. To alien sensors, they looked like modest cruisers, nothing spectacular. But these vessels existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and were armed with weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. Greetings, Admiral Kwan said to the assembled alien representatives. I'm here to discuss the galaxy's new security arrangements. New security arrangements? Asked the insect-like representative from the Nexari Federation. Yes. As of today, all interstellar conflicts in this galaxy will be mediated by human forces. Piracy, territorial disputes, and threats against civilian populations are no longer acceptable. You can't police the entire galaxy with a few thousand ships, protested a cloud-like alien from the Helion. Collective Admiral Kwan smiled. A few thousand? You're still thinking in old terms. She activated a holographic display that showed the true scope of human expansion. While the galaxy had been focused on Earth, humans had established colonies in 47 star systems using quantum fold technology. The human population now numbered in the hundreds of billions. We're not trying to conquer anyone, Admiral Kwan explained. We're offering protection services. Any species that agrees to our non-aggression treaty will be defended against all external threats. And if we refuse, asked Kreltar, then you'll continue handling your own security. But be aware that human space is now a sanctuary zone. Any hostile action taken within our sphere of influence will be met with appropriate response. To demonstrate what appropriate response meant, Admiral Kwan's ships conducted a training exercise. They created a small artificial star, manipulated gravity to form temporary planets around it, and then safely dismantled the entire system when the demonstration was complete. We can create or destroy star systems, Admiral Kwan said matter-of-factly. We can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our consciousness networks can solve problems that would take your best mind centuries to understand. But we're not interested in ruling over anyone. We're interested in making sure everyone can live peacefully." The alien representatives looked at each other with expressions of shock and fear. Some of their civilizations were millions of years old, but none had developed capabilities like these. "What happens to our independence?" asked the tree-like alien from the Sylvan Confederacy. "You keep it," Admiral Kwan said. "Govern yourselves however you like. Follow your own customs and laws. We only intervene when someone threatens the peace or attacks civilian populations." "And who decides what counts as a threat?" "We do," Admiral Kwan replied. "But we're reasonable. We're not interested in micromanaging local politics or minor disputes. We're focused on preventing galaxy-scale conflicts and extinction-level threats." Some aliens tried to test humanity's resolve. The Vorthak Empire sent a battle fleet to attack a human colony ship. The result was swift and decisive. The Vorthak ships didn't get destroyed. They simply found themselves transported to the edge of their own solar system, with their weapon systems permanently disabled. "Your ships have been modified," Admiral Kwan explained to Emperor Zelnoth via quantum communication. "They can no longer fire on civilian targets. This modification is irreversible. Any future aggressive actions will result in more severe consequences. You can't do this to sovereign vessels. We just did. Your ships." 5 years had passed since the Devourer War, and the galaxy was a completely different place. The constant conflicts that had raged for thousands of years were now just stories told by old aliens who remembered the bad times. President Seo Young-ho stood at the window of his office on Earth, looking out at the ships that filled the sky. But these weren't all human vessels. Alien craft from dozens of species came and went peacefully, their crews working together on projects that would have been impossible before. "The Vorthak delegation has arrived," announced his aide. "Emperor Zelnoth is requesting a private meeting." President Seo smiled. A year ago, the crystal alien had tried to destroy a human colony. Now he was coming to Earth to ask for help with his own problems. "Send him in." Emperor Zelnoth entered the office, his crystal body flickering with nervous light patterns. Behind him walked General Morkar and 2 other Vorthak officials. They all looked uncomfortable. "President Seo," the Emperor said, his voice sounding like wind chimes. "Thank you for seeing us. What can we do for you?" "Our home system is dying," Emperor Zelnoth said. "Our star is becoming unstable. Our scientists estimate we have 50 years before it goes supernova." President Seo nodded. "Dr. On's team detected the problem 6 months ago. We've been working on a solution. You knew about this. We monitor all star systems for potential threats. A supernova in your sector would affect 17 other civilizations." The Vorthak Emperor's light patterns showed amazement. "You've been protecting us even after we attacked your people?" "Of course. That's what we do." Dr. An Sungmin entered the office carrying a holographic projector. His consciousness now existed partially in the quantum network, allowing him to process information faster than any biological brain. "Emperor Zelnoth," he said, "we can fix your star." "Fix it? How?" Dr. An activated the projector, showing a 3-dimensional model of the Vorthak star system. "Your star is collapsing because its quantum structure has become unstable. We can inject quantum stabilizers directly into the stellar core, resetting the fusion process to a stable state." "That sounds impossible." "Everything we do sounds impossible to species that haven't transcended their original limitations," Dr. An said gently. "But for humans, this is a routine stellar engineering project." General Morkar stepped forward. "What do you want in return?" "Nothing," President Seo said. "Well, except for your continued commitment to the peace accords." "That's all?" "That's all." The Vorthak delegation left Earth 3 hours later with their star system scheduled for repair the following month. This scene repeated itself across the galaxy as humanity solved problems that other species had considered unsolvable. Admiral Kwan Yunji was aboard the battleship Unity's Dawn, conducting a routine patrol through the former war zones. Her ship existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, allowing her to monitor threats across vast areas of space. "Admiral," reported her sensor officer, "we're detecting unauthorized weapon signatures in the Helix Nebula." "Specifics?" "Looks like a Nexari splinter group trying to restart their civil war. They're building illegal weapons platforms." Admiral Kwan sighed. Some aliens still hadn't learned that the old ways of solving problems no longer worked. "Send them a warning message. If they don't stand down in 24 hours, we'll remove the weapons ourselves." "Yes, ma'am." 23 hours later, the Nexari weapons platforms simply vanished. Not destroyed, not dismantled, but relocated to a distant star system where they could be safely disposed of. The aliens who had been building them found themselves aboard human ships, being transported to Earth for re-education programs. "We don't imprison people for trying to start wars," explained Dr. Park Mina to the confused Nexari. "We help them understand why war is no longer necessary." The re-education programs were one of humanity's most successful innovations. Instead of punishing aggressive behavior, they used consciousness transfer technology to let violent individuals experience empathy directly. After spending time in the quantum network, connected to billions of peaceful minds, most former aggressors became advocates for non-violence. Captain Ominji had become fully integrated into the consciousness network, existing as pure thought while maintaining her individual personality. She was now responsible for training new consciousness pilots from other species. "The key is not to lose yourself," she explained to a young Helian who was volunteering for the program. "You become more than you were, but you're still you." "Will I still be Helian?" the gas being asked nervously. "You'll be the best possible version of yourself," Captain O said. "Your thoughts will be faster, your understanding deeper, but your essential nature remains unchanged." The Helian agreed to the procedure, becoming the first non-human to join the consciousness network. The results were remarkable. Within hours, the alien was processing information on a galactic scale and helping to solve problems that had puzzled its species for centuries. News of successful alien consciousness transfers spread quickly. Soon, representatives from dozens of species were volunteering for the program. The quantum network grew to include millions of minds from across the galaxy, all working together for mutual benefit. Captain Lee Taman was now Earth's ambassador to the reformed Galactic Council. The Council still existed, but its role had changed dramatically. Instead of endless debates about territorial disputes and trade wars, they now coordinated peaceful development projects across the galaxy. "Today's agenda," Lee Taman announced to the assembled alien representatives, "includes terraforming 3 new worlds, establishing trade routes through the formerly dangerous sectors, and planning the next phase of stellar engineering projects." Kreltar raised one crystal hand. "Ambassador Lee, my people would like to contribute to the terraforming project. We have materials that could be useful." "Excellent. Dr. Yoon's team will coordinate with your engineers." This cooperation would have been unthinkable 5 years ago. The Vorthak Empire had been one of the most aggressive civilizations in the galaxy. Now they were volunteering to help create new worlds for refugees and displaced populations. "Any other business?" Lee Taman asked. An alien from the outer rim raised a tentacle. "We've detected strange energy readings from beyond our galaxy. Should we be concerned?" Lee Taman consulted his quantum link to the human network. Within seconds, he had access to the combined knowledge of billions of human and alien minds. "The readings are from an approaching civilization," he said. "They appear to be peaceful explorers from another galaxy. Admiral Kwan's fleet will make contact and determine their intentions." "What if they're hostile?" asked a worried Sylvan representative. "Then we'll protect you," Lee Taman said simply. "That's what we do." The meeting ended with the usual sense of optimism that had become common in galactic politics. Problems were identified and solved quickly. Conflicts were resolved through mediation rather than warfare. The galaxy was becoming a place where everyone could thrive. But humanity's greatest achievement wasn't their technology or their military power. It was the transformation of galactic civilization itself. Species that had been enemies for millennia now worked together on projects that benefited everyone. The fear and suspicion that had dominated the galaxy for thousands of years was being replaced by cooperation and mutual respect. Dr. Yoon Sulgi, now existing primarily as a consciousness in the quantum network, monitored this transformation from her unique perspective. She could see patterns across time and space that revealed the true scope of what humanity had accomplished. "We didn't conquer the galaxy," she explained to a group of young humans who were learning about their species' history. "We evolved it. We showed everyone that there was a better way to exist. But how did we know what the better way was?" asked one of the students. "We didn't," Dr. Yoon admitted. "We just knew that constant warfare and fear weren't working for anyone. So we tried something different. What if we had been wrong? Then we would have tried something else. That's what humans do." We adapt, we learn, and we never give up trying to make things better. The student nodded thoughtfully. And now everyone in the galaxy is learning to do the same? That's the hope. Not everyone has to become human, but everyone can learn to think beyond their old limitations. Meanwhile, Captain Hong So-young was exploring the edge of known space in her stealth ship, mapping new regions and looking for potential threats. Her consciousness was linked to the galactic network, but she maintained enough independence to make quick decisions in dangerous situations. "Command," she reported. "I've found something interesting in the void sector." "What kind of interesting?" asked Admiral Kwan. "An ancient space station bigger than anything we've seen. It's been abandoned for millions of years, but the technology is still active." "Any dangers?" "None detected. But the design suggests it was built by the same species that left the artifacts we found on Earth." This discovery led to the greatest revelation in galactic history. The ancient station contained records of a civilization that had transcended physical existence entirely. They had faced the same challenges that plagued the current galaxy: warfare, resource conflicts, fear of extinction. Their solution had been to evolve beyond those problems entirely. They had become beings of pure consciousness, existing in dimensions beyond physical space. Before departing for whatever realm